sent Shane 3 rolls of their new emulsions to the FPP store of 16 millimeter. All of these you shot skiing. When I
Mhm.
say shot skiing, folks listening or watching, I really mean it. Like, not only is Shane shooting skiing, but you are on skis shooting. Is that correct?
Yep,
Pretty
it
much.
is. Yeah, and I mean, shooting the 16, this is my first time ever shooting 16 this winter. I've shot a ton of Super 8, but shooting 16 like changed most of my ski video history is all I'm moving on skis and I'm shooting with like a fisheye lens or a wide angle lens. That was sort of if I had a style, people would probably say, "Oh, it's like a fisheye moving with the skier style." And and each roll, right, is always an experiment shooting on a
Absolutely.
K3.
Krasnokorsk 3 camera. Are
Yep,
you
I got it on, I bought it on Facebook Marketplace for 400 bucks. I have the stock lens and I have the I mean, it's a Peng, the
Oh,
fisheye, there's an 8 millimeter
yeah.
fisheye that
Yeah.
I got on eBay. One of the reasons I found your stocks initially is because I was so concerned about a highlight situation. How am I gonna shoot this fisheye? That's how I found your stocks initially because I needed a lower ISO to shoot the fisheye.
3 rolls, FPP black and white 3, Yeti, and Sun. Let's talk about black and white 3. It's a chromogenic film, meaning it's a color film. It's processed as color. The results, if you scan it in color, you get like a duotone, which Shane, you saw both versions. You saw the black and white version and the color version. It's ISO 3. It's fine grain. Generally speaking, it's inexpensive. It's 30 bucks a roll. So for 16 shooters, that's a pretty good deal. So what was your experience, and how did you feel about this particular stock?
I liked it. I mean, I thought that the color scan was pretty trippy. I was like, whoa, this is crazy. If I had, I think with each of these, but this one specifically, if I, not knowing totally what it was gonna look like, I might have shot different stuff with it.
Right.
This was like one of the very first rolls I shot filming in that sort of a skiing environment where there was a lot of stuff happening at once. I'm still in the realm of like, is this camera even going to work? This was like
Right.
still really, really, like, this was such a test roll for so many reasons. I think the other thing for all of these roles in shooting skiing like this is like, I learned pretty quickly what kind of things work and what kind of things don't work when you're filming on a limited format where you only have 2 to 3 minutes. And if people are trying tricks that are very technical and hard, you're going to burn through a lot of film really fast. And that's going to be a bummer. And so this role was, I walked away from this role like with a bunch of like, oh, these things work. This stuff probably doesn't work. Just in terms of like tricks you're trying to film, right? Like,
Right.
but yeah, and
It
I think in the middle of this role, the light changed and the sun went away. It was, this happened a bunch where it was like supposed to be this beautiful day in New England, and then suddenly an hour into the day, it's overcast, and I
yeah.
already have the roll loaded. And I'm like, well, I'm committed to this. I'm just going to shoot it. So like halfway through this roll, I think the shadows go away.
The challenge, I'm guessing, for folks watching is, you're not shooting a test chart. Like, you're not doing you're shooting a live event, therefore you have so many things to contend with at once, with so many unknowns. You don't know what the film's going to look like. I'm guessing you haven't shot this ISO before, ISO 3. And what did you use to meter?
I use two different apps to meter on my phone. I use Cinemeter, and I think I had to download a different app for maybe the sun because I couldn't get the ISO to go low enough on Cinemeter. If I'm remembering correctly, on this roll, I just like set it and forget it style, like read once and was like, I'm just gonna roll with it. Yeah, I just remember this roll being a huge lesson in this stuff's going to work, this stuff's not going to work for shooting this kind of skiing on 16.
When you got the footage back, were you surprised in a good way or bad way? Like, what was your initial reaction to seeing it?
I mean, I think anytime I've gotten footage back from the K3 and it's been like it exists, I get really excited because the very first roll I ever shot in the K3, I did about 10 things wrong loading the film, and the film came back totally unusable. Like the
Okay.
film was slipping through the gate. So anytime it comes back and it's not that, it's totally a win. What I didn't know about shooting black and white that I wish I had known was how awesome the shadows look on
Hmm.
snow. I can see more on the Yeti later on when I'm shooting with a wider lens. You see these just incredible contrasty shadows of the skiers moving around. And I wish I had known, just be aware of that more and like to frame that stuff in. Like when I'm shooting other ski projects, obviously digitally, you're reviewing tricks like on the spot. Like, hey, does this look cool? Did you get the trick legit? Did I film it good? Or can we move on? Right? Like that's like the process. And with this, it's like, I don't know. I saw your
Right.
shape moving through the eyepiece. Like I think it
Yes.
worked. Who knows? So
Yeah.
like that unknown is part of the fun, but also like part of the frustration, right? So like there's stuff in here where it's like, oh, I was totally at the right spot, but the person didn't get the trick the right way, so I can't use this shot. And that's can be heartbreaking,
Right.
especially when it's on film. But this will change. Like, there's footage in here where, in a typical project, I probably wouldn't use the attempts of a trick. In some of these roles, like I totally will because I like the way the attempts look. I don't know. It changed everything in like just the normal process of making a ski video like this.
Yeti black and white negative. This ISO 10. This is also a fine grain black and white film. So, what did you think of the Yeti?
Yeah, I loved the Yeti. The Yeti was the one that I think I'm the most stoked on how it came out. Yeti was shot in California in April, super harsh light, like the contrast between the snow and the dark trees. I remember metering. I was there all week and just metering the whole time, trying to figure out like what do I expose? Like the whole trip was an experiment. So each time I put a different roll in, I was like, oh, geez, what am I doing right now? um, Trying to figure out like the balance of do I expose for the trees, do I expose for the snow, what am I doing here? But the Yeti roll specifically, I remember the shadows being like, whoa, the shadows look super cool. I wish I had known about that for a bunch of reasons. Some of them even just the tricks, right? Like there are a few tricks with certain people that I really wanted to get in this project, and I had known the whole time like, okay, they're on this roll. Geez, I hope these come out because I'm not going to see this person again. Like I yeah, I was just really excited that those tricks came out of those people so I could put them in the project, and the shadows look super rad. I think I prefer it. I think I shot a mix on this roll of 24 and 48. There's some slow-mo stuff in there because there's two shots of Taylor doing a hand plant.
Okay.
And I really wanted her in my project because most of the people are men, and I wanted there to be a woman in this video. Um, and she does hand plants in a really special way. You could get into the weeds about this, but like most people turn uphill because it's easier, and she turns downhill, and they just look super rad.
Right.
And I filmed her do two really good ones. One's in 24, and it's a little cleaner looking, and 48, I think it's a little it loses a little detail because in the harsh light, but I'll probably still use the 48 one. But yeah, it just looks awesome. I was on the fence about shooting black and white. I teach a video art class at a high school. It's an evening class. And I convinced one of my students to do a project on 16. I remember telling him like, no, 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 you got to shoot color. Like, there's no point in black and white. Like, you can do that digitally. I'm backpedaling all of that now.
Okay. I think that's,
Where I don't know.
yeah. There's a lot to
I
be
I
said for shooting black and white negative as opposed to shooting color and removing the color, you're saying.
Yeah, I for this project, I really wanted everything. Like, I'm even on the fence about doing titles digitally. I want it all to be very homemade and very real. And I don't know, the Yeti to me just was like, oh, this is why you shoot black and white. You get
Okay.
it just, and it's one of those things. It's like a guttural. I can't really explain it. I don't know. Maybe if it's like a Clerks. I was such a fan of the first Clerks film. That's all black and white 16. Maybe that's why. I don't know why. But
Were you surprised by the like the fine grain of these films? Were you expecting more grain?
I think I was expecting less grain.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I feel like I feel like there was more grain than I thought there would be. Um, but I think it looks rad. Yeah, it looks. I don't know. It looks like you can feel it. I don't know. Even with doing the music about this, it's all just like I have a hard time explaining why something tastes good to my eyes, but or sounds good to my ears.
Right.
But it's just like it's a gut heart feeling. Where the Yeti roll, I was like, whoa, this one, this is cool.
Sun One, it's a one ISO film. It's a unique subdued color. This is the first time I've seen this film shot in snow, which is interesting because what pops in Sun is red, and there are just
Yeah.
a few touches of red, like at the bottom of someone's skis or someone's shoes. And when you see red, it just pops.
The Sun one was how I originally was drawn into, ooh, I want to try some of these film stocks, right? I was looking for a low ISO because you're out in the snow. The Sun, the day I shot that roll was also, you look on the weather app, oh, cool, cloudless all day.
Right.
I get up here, I load it up, here come the clouds. And I remember everybody was just like, ooh, it got really cloudy. And I was like, well, whatever, we're just gonna do this. So I don't think I got the best conditions to shoot it in. It got kind of flat light once people actually started hitting that jump. I think I would have loved to have tried this on a blue sky day, like a total bluebird day, but it looks really cool. It does depend on what people are wearing. I feel like I walked away like, oh man, am I gonna have to like start asking people to wear certain colors now?
Colors.
It's got like a mood to it.
It
Um,
does.
I really like the shots. I mean, my favorite shots out of this role are the shots of the person who's flying the point of view drone with the headset. It's just like sitting in the woods. I mean, yes, it looks very silly that they're doing that, but the colors look super cool.
Yeah.
There's a few shots. I think the actual shots of people look really cool. And there's some awesome, very nice jump shots that I think were totally pretty rad. This was the first time I had filmed, like in most of my ski video career, I actually didn't shoot a lot of jumps. So this day was like how do I shoot jumps? Like how do I do this? I just never we didn't really film a lot of jumps, um, especially long lens stuff. So that day was an experiment again on multiple fronts of like, can I load this correctly? Can I expose this correctly? How do I even film people doing this? But my favorite shots are, yeah, probably like the shots of people actually not skiing, which makes sense. That's sort of been my theme throughout this. And the big takeaway from this whole project this winter was like, oh, I filmed too much skiing. I didn't film the living part of this because I think I was so, I don't know, conservative with rolling film, just
Right.
just like a little scared. Yeah, I think the sun is super cool. I sent that to a lot of people that were really like, whoa, that's cool. For some reason the fisheye stuff on this came out, I'm assuming it's my focus pulling. I mean, that's the other thing with that K3, like that thing's kind of a son of a gun to pull focus on at a low f-stop. I don't know, maybe it's the eyepiece is slightly off for me or what, but like that
Right.
was my takeaway too. Like, oh man, I'm glad nobody did anything cool on the fisheye stuff because I totally blew those shots. Yeah, that K3 is just a son of a gun. Yeah, the next challenge with that camera is like pulling focus on things at a low f-stop and figuring it out without having the luxury of a giant screen with peaking and autofocus and all that lovely modern stuff. But yeah, I love the moodiness. Thought it was super cool.
Of the three roles, is there one that you would gravitate towards again?
I think the Yeti is my favorite and what I would pull back to do again. Yeah, I liked that. I liked the graininess. I liked the like, I don't know, it just has a texture to it that just feels really cool. Um, I love the shadows. I was like, man, I got to make a video that's just like filming shadows. Like
Right.
there's even shots in that Yeti roll where like my framing is bad, but there's so much shadow that it's great.
Right.
Like,
Do you see more film in your future workflow?
yeah, 100%. I always have to have a project that is a for fun project, like a me project that doesn't have rounds of feedback from marketing people or like there's the craft and the art. The craft is the day job. The craft pays the mortgage. The art of it is like what I can think about to just feel normal and
Right.
and put it all into. And um, I've always wanted to, I mean, this is stupid, but I've always wanted to make a black and white video that doesn't have any sound. Um, and I have like multiple themes and names around that. And so the Yeti is like, oh, maybe I'll go back to the Yeti and do it all in 16. Um, I learned that I don't really love filming. I like filming just like the skiing part on 16 more than like the trick part. So it's like asking people to like not do hard, like I don't need hard tricks. But yeah, I think I would return to shoot more Yeti, more black and white.
I'm guessing you're not just shooting 16, you're also supplementing whatever you envision as the finished reel, also
Not
with video and or
the Yeti roll is going to a project that will be a mix, right? They film all season long and they make this stuff, and I gave them the role like, hey, you can incorporate this into your project with, you know, tons of digital. I mean, obviously the guy was there flying the crazy drone.
right,
Um, but for me, the thing I'm working on is just 16. You know, I wanted to shoot a ski project that was just 16 millimeter. When I was in high school in, you know, the I graduated in 2004. So the prior 4 years, all of the ski movies I'm watching when I'm like most impressionable have a lot of 16 or are all 16 millimeter. That was just sort of like the standard for big ski movies. So seeing that format was just like in my head of like, this has a certain feeling to when I was a teenager, and in the window of, oh my God, this is amazing. Like, I need this to be me. I just need this stuff in my life. I love this. I really recognize, like, identify with this. These ski videos that were filmed in 16, they just had like a feeling. I remember seeing like there was like little fibers, you know, in the gate that made it into the final movies, and we were so like, what is that? Why is that there?
right.
um, so it was just like I always have wanted to do something in 16. And so yeah, so this project is just 16 millimeter. I want to make all the music. I don't want anything done digitally. I'm sort of backpedaling that a tiny bit because I want to film some wind up toys, and I'm scared about pulling focus that close, and they're so unpredictable. I think it'll just be a real nightmare. So I might film those digitally, but I would never like fake a film look. I should also say I have like a side job of illustration, and that paid for most of this project. Like, this was an expensive experiment. I paid for it by doing little illustration gigs. The whole time I'm doing this, I felt very privileged to even be like stressing out about my silly 16 millimeter video.
I want to thank you for participating in this role review,
You're welcome.
and it was an exciting experience for sure. Me as looking at the footage when here at FPP when we're scanning it, it was kind of exciting to see, when I'm like squinting at it and like, wow. In many respects, I thought, wow, the shooter's on skis shooting action is amazing. So kudos to you, and we're going to keep in touch. And anyone watching, please do leave comments down below or send us an email, podcast@filmphotographyproject.com. Any last thoughts?
No, thank you for the opportunity. This is super cool. I love. I mean, this is silly, but I love all of the sort of the iconography with each film stock. Just all the little elements, all the little caricatures. I don't know. It just felt very cool.